What's going on, Captain Paul from TSP? Look at me. Appreciate you coming by for our next episode. If you could like, comment, and subscribe, that would help me out very much. So, you know what? I'm going to talk about it. Ukraine's neo-Nazi battalion, the Azov Battalion. Why all of a sudden is everyone a big Ukraine supporter? Okay? This is a kind of a controversial standpoint, I would have to say. But at the end of the day, I think that Ukraine is culpable of some pretty big fuck-ups. Oh my god. Listen, if you can't have a legitimate discussion about the danger of the Azov Battalion and how since essentially they've been a problem since, 2013, 2014 of Crimea, then you aren't a grown-up at the table. I know everyone wants to think that the neo-Nazi battalion is just Russia propaganda and that neo-Nazism isn't an issue in Ukraine, but you have a military force of Ukraine, their National Guard, that has direct affiliation with the neo-Nazis and that believes that, that white superiority and that there should be a cleansing of Putin because they believe he's Jewish. There is some absolute disgusting beliefs behind that battalion, and if you are sitting here and not willing to have the discussion, feel free to click off the video. For you more deep thinking people, people that maybe, really look at things objectively, let's further this conversation. Is Ukraine, I should say, and getting invaded by Russia, is that right? Is that correct? Absolutely not. Russia is culpable and definitely at fault for terrible behavior and lack of human right issues within themselves, right? Like, Russia's got some fucking problems in their own country, and they're not necessarily, besides the oligarchs and Putin, there's not many people extremely well off in Russia. Let's not get that twisted. Their middle class, more kind of like a lower class, does not do well in that country. That being said, Ukraine also has a lot of human rights issues going on in their own country. And what I've seen is that I see these people flying these Ukraine flags, flying that flag in their profile, proudly supporting Ukraine. Do you even know what you're supporting? Do you know what the Ukraine government is about? If you are blindly listening to media, and I should say mainstream media, regarding this war, you are a sheep. And I mean this with all due respect, or I should say with all due disrespect. Because if you're not going to take a step back and realize the media has always been misleading us, has always been putting us down trials of war that we shouldn't be getting involved in, you're a fucking fool. That's how they do this. Like with the United States and Russia, technically we haven't been at war for a long time, right? There was the Cold War, right, where it's just more done sanctions stuff, but we've had proxy wars with Russia for years. If you look into the military history, there's always been things that we funded and then Russia funded the opposite side, and vice versa, because they want to oppose capitalism, we want to oppose communism. That has been the doctrine since since God created this earth. But one of the most troubling things, aside of all the political aspects of this, is just how blind we are as a population, especially here in the United States of America. People don't understand the international political things, or the political side of things. They just want to be like, let's go, we gotta go protect Ukraine, we gotta go protect democracy. I respect Zelensky in the aspect that he's sitting there with his people in the country. Most world leaders like Biden, Trump, Clinton's, Bush, they would go hide in a bunker. They wouldn't stand and fight with their people. They would have got out when they could have, right? That aside, I think there's still massive issues there. That conversation regarding Burisma and how we had the vice president's son get a job for a few $100,000 a month in a field he had no experience. Can we have that conversation? Or are you just gonna say, oh, you're just a Republican, you hate liberals and all that stupid shit? Like, no, I want things to come out factually. I want to know what went on here. It seems like this laptop, I'm not going to comment too much on Hunter Biden's laptop because, let's be frank, there's so much conflicting information and we don't know what's true. We don't know what's true, we don't know what's not true. But when there's smoke, there's fire. And Hunter Biden even being in that country in the first place and having a job, of a very high paying job in that country, should be kind of alarming that we had our administration under Obama using their positions of power to make money for their own families. And that's going to be a whole different discussion that I'd love to have on this channel, because a lot of, on both sides, they don't give a fuck about the American people. They just care about making profit for their own families or just for themselves. So getting back into the Ukraine thing is this. I think what happened there with Russia invading is a tragedy, and there's everyday people being affected. But at the same token, let's not just sit here and put Ukraine on a pedestal and make it seem like there's some heavens on earth and that they're angels. Ukraine's got a lot of fucked up human race issues. I should say, they do actually have a bunch of human race issues, but they have a lot of race relation issues. They are very anti-Semitic. Yeah, it might be a smaller sect of that country, but it's still quite prevalent. If you have a battalion in your National Guard of a lot of people, isn't that a little bit alarming? That'd be like the United States Marines having a neo-Nazi sect that's proudly sponsored by the US government. That's what Ukraine has. They have their government that supports that battalion. If no one's raising issues about that, no one's willing to have that discussion, are we just so blind to our parties we're not willing to be objective? So what do you guys think down below? Do you think the Azov battalion is an issue? Or do you think it's just not the biggest battalion, not the biggest part of their regiments, that it doesn't even matter? I really would be interested to know what you guys think down below. Start the conversation. Please stay respectful. And like I said, I appreciate if you like, comment, subscribe. Really want that algorithm helping us out. But I'm more interested in the conversation, because I feel like most people I talk to understand where I'm coming from, but it just seems like from what I see on social media, not so much. So this is Captain Paul. I'm done talking my shit, and I'll see you in the next episode.